at you with a really far-fetched theory on Blood of the Dead zombies. So the evidence I have for this is, well, I should probably say my statement first is that the characters in Blood of the Dead are either dead or they're going to die. From what we know, from what Rick Tolfin said, is that the warden tortures the damned or the doomed and the doomed, the souls of the damned and the doomed, meaning that zombies and people that are going to die alike, just like Sal, Weasel, Finn, and Billy. But why exactly is this like relevant? Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Because he said that, we all know that Sal, Billy, Weasel, and Finn were all doomed to a purgatory. The whole existence was literally to suffer. And guess who was there? The warden was there in in the map. He was there to torture the four main characters. But excuse me guys, but why does this have any relevance to the premise crew? I mean, why in God's name would, the four premise characters be dead or doomed? I mean, they seem pretty much alive in the game, and they do escape at the end. Cool. But you have to remember. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. But you have to remember when the events of Blood take place. It takes place after Zetsu Monoshima and before Gorog Krovi. So Optimus Nikolai, or Ultimus Nikolai rather, isn't dead yet. And they haven't visited Dr. Monty's house yet. So that's why at the end, yeah, there's gonna be spoilers as well, so click off the video. That's why at the end of the Mob of the Dead Easter egg, Nikolai doesn't know who Dr. Monty is because they haven't met before. They meet in Revelations. I mean, as we all know, the Zombies crew, the premise Zombies crew, also has not entangled with the Shadow Man yet. They don't know who he is. They don't know about the Apothecans. Nothing like that. We all know that the Warden was more of a cult, literally more of a cult entity, only around to serve the Shadow Man and the Apothecans. This is proven by the radio that you can find and activate on the map. That once you complete the radio streak, and these radios basically were discussions between Stanley Ferguson, the prison guard that we see in Mob of the Dead, the Warden, and the Shadow Man. So this is really the first ever appearance of the Shadow Man in the premise storyline. In the premises storyline. Morkshire doesn't count as they don't have premise. Well, I guess they do have premise in them, but different. But what does that mean for the Zombies crew? Like, for a premise, what does that mean? Like, why is the warden here, stuff like that. If he tortures the damned and the doomed, then how come we see them escape and actually be able to survive, defeat the apothecaries and everything like that? Well, if you guys don't already know, if you guys do know, the premise crew are actually stuck in an infinite time loop, just like the one from Sal, Billy, Weasel, and Finn. They are stuck in a recurring time loop that starts up at Shadows of Evil and ends at Revelations. They're forgotten in history, and once that happens, they go back in time. Not really, but they are then sent to the start of the loop, and are forced to do it again until, of course, they change history. The crew, except Rick the Finn, knows about this time loop. So only Richtofen knows about the time loop that's going on. The rest of the characters have no idea. Now, because of this, you could argue that Sal, Billy, Weasel, and Finn are also in the same boat as, or premise crews rather is in the same boat as the Mob of the Dead crew. They're stuck in a time loop, although it's a much bigger one. And until they're able to stop the time loop by changing history, they're going to be stuck in there and they won't be able to get out. I bring this up because, well, guess what? The whole point of the premise crew's actions of killing their future selves, or the Optimus crew, basically the Shiranuma crew, is literally to rewrite history. They're doing it to rewrite history, making it so they don't exist. I mean, making them that they don't exist. Element 115 is quite possibly never found out about. We all know that it does in different dimensions. In the dimension 63, we know that Richtofen and Maxis didn't start Group 935, but they did join them later on at the university that they both went to. Because of this, we can infer that, well, the events of Mob of the Dead, and basically the events of anything prior to the events of Drazendrak, could be prevented by changing the past, or rather the future. Killing their future counterparts would make it so the future would be changed. Killing the future Richtofen means that Samantha would have never died and Maxis would have never died by Richtofen themselves, meaning that there was a good chance that Samantha never would have gained control of the zombies. This also would mean that Richtofen never got control of the zombies at all, rendering the Green Run crew never happening. Broken Arrow never would have formed, and other things like that. Basically, we would have just rewrote history from complete scratch. There's another problem with this, with this whole time travel thing that Trek's got going on here, is the fact that if this is true, and the events repeat themselves, how come the events don't change when they fix something? He says that, he claims that, well, the storyline goes that every time that they reach Revelations and they beat the Apothecans and they are sent back to, back in time, back to Origins, well, not back to Origins, back to the Great War, rather, they're sent back to the Great War, and that's it, you know, and they become the heroes in their lost in history, you know, until the cycle resets itself and they're back at Origins. This means that they are doomed. They are doomed to continue their existence, unless of course they're able to rewrite history. How do they do that? By killing the the Optimus crew, their future selves. This prevents Dempsey from ever getting captured, and Verrückt, this prevents Nikolai from being captured during the Battle of Stalingrad. This prevents Takio from overseeing the rising sun and not getting captured. This prevents Richtofen from setting the whole story of this game in motion, meaning that the events of basically every zombies map would never have taken place. Well, every zombies map past what is it? Origins. Origins would have been the only zombie outbreak. Now, bear with me, the timeline does get a little bit confusing here, so I'm going to try to clear this up as best I can. Now, the reason why it would have stopped at Origins instead of, let's say, Revelations, even though they are the premise crew, is because they have gone forward in time. The fact that they made it out of Origins is enough. But what they've done is the premise crew, once they save Samantha, is actually transported to a new dimension in order to save the next one. In order to save this next one, what they need to do is go to another dimension, dimension 63. Now, this dimension 63 is where the events of the Giant, Dresendrak, and all others zombies that take place. The only real zombies map that takes place in the original dimension is Nocturne Toten, Verrückt, Shinonuma, Doris, and Origins. All the zombie map, going off of the storyline, takes place in Dimension 63. All those take place in the original. Well, yeah. Of course, this could be wrong, but I'm just going off of the storyline. I mean, it's really confusing again, as the storyline is all over the place. Plus, the characters revisit certain maps again and again, over again, such as the fact that the events of Doris take place 3 times. They go back to Doris, but it's now the Giant. It's really strange. They actually have gone back to Blood of the Dead 3 times, each time after Zetsumonishima. So this map does not take place after the events of Revelations. Does not take place in the event after, it doesn't take place back in the original dimension. They are now back in Dimension 63. What does this have to do with the Warden, though? Well, as we all know that the original crew, well, the dead crew rather, were doomed because of the fact that they were doomed to repeat history from the time that they devised the plan to when they killed Weasel. In order for them to free themselves, they had to be killed by Weasel. They had to end the cycle by changing the ending of it. So they went through the whole plan that they did before, but at the end, instead of killing the Weasel had to murder them. But this brings up a weird thing. How come the Warden and the rest of the zombies help the Weasel? If the Warden's whole purpose is to make the damned and the doomed suffer, how come they help Weasel and they help the cycle break? That's because the cycle only breaks for Weasel. The cycle continues back up again with Sal, Finn, and Billy still trapped inside of this cycle. The Weasel is the only one who is freed and is killed. Eventually, so many times that the Sal, Billy, and Finn, they all die off one by one due to the fact that of old age, or their soul has finally been taken by the Warden, and they've suffered enough until, of course, they free themselves. How they free themselves is, of course, one by one, they each go into different cycles, and they change history, making it so either Sal kills Weasel alone, none of them murder each other, and the cycle is, well, ended, as none of the characters would have been killed, and the warden would have never been able to make them suffer, as they would have just lived out their life sentence, and they would have died. So, all in all, pretty much, this is pretty much the same as the Blood of the Dead crew. In fact, it is actually the exact same. You have people trapped in a cycle, although this one's a lot more of a longer cycle, but regardless, nonetheless, it is still a cycle that they have to abide. I'm not saying that the cycle was the exact same. What I'm saying is that the warden, the fact that the warden has come to the premise crew in Blood of the Dead is because they are doomed. They are doomed to reset the cycle and continue on with the cycle over and over again. The only way that they can stop the cycle is by sacrificing Richtofen. Of course, how the cycle ends is that Richtofen does break, just like the other three mobsters, Sal, Billy, and Finn, had to do before. They had to break. They had to find out other ways to end this. They had to find other ways, and that's how they're able to escape. Now, if you're wondering, well, how do they escape the dead, but then the cycle continues? Well, that's because they haven't fully escaped yet. As we all know that in Revelations, when Dr. Monty realizes that the 4 premise characters drank the blood of characters of dimensions that no longer existed, so basically they created a time paradox. They were almost about to be wiped from history and the universe completely, basically deleted. But Dr. Monty has the great idea to put them into a cycle which basically revives the dimensions that were destroyed for them only, meaning that the dimensions that they destroyed before would honestly be destroyed, but the 4 premise characters would go back in time and continue this. Of course, as we all know, that Dr. Monty apparently is considered evil, and that the Revelations, so the original Richtofen, the original premise Richtofen, the one that was able to break or start the cycle, rather, was able to free himself and come and bust through the time in order, and they skipped the Tsumoshima and everything like that. They just came from Revelations, meaning that Richtofen was either able to get his hand on the Canorium, which he was able to, of course, as we saw from the intro. So the ways to break the cycle or to realize that you're in the cycle is difficult. You have to either revive some of your memories from your past self or your future self, so they'd have to gain some sort of memory from the Optimus crew. So Takeo 1.0 would need to give a memory to Takeo 2.0. Takeo 2.0 needs to actually relive that memory, so he has to believe and actually relive it. And he'll realize that they're on a cycle, as he knows that that's never happened to him, and it should have. Meaning that he now knows that they're in a group. Because Richtofen does have the Chronorium, he knows that he's in a cycle. And that's why he keeps coming back to Blood of the Dead, trying to fix this. He knows that the source of why they're still stuck in there is because of the warden himself, keeping them locked up tight in there. Dr. Monty put them in there to protect all the other dimensions. But of course he could be seen as a bad guy, keeping them trapped in a endless loop. The whole events of Blood of the Dead are really just a retake. It's basically they weren't able to completely alter reality, and so they are still stuck here until they are able to do so. How they're able to alter reality is really unclear, and how they're going to be able to successfully do it. But from what we know now, there isn't much about, they're basically how the loop works. It's not like, we don't know. We knew more about the mob dead cycle. Basically, if they, kill Weasel again, the cycle continues, and they go back until, of course, they make it right. But yeah, the only real way that the four Mob of the Dead characters would be free, well, the rest of the three, was doing the secret ending. The secret ending was the alternative ending to the bad or the good ending, and that pretty much means that all the rest of the three characters are now free. They've broken the cycle themselves, and now they are free from all of the dead. They are free from Alcatraz Island, which is basically purgatory, pretty much. For them, at least. This means that the rest of the Blood of the Dead crew, or the premise crew, they're pretty much still stuck here. The way that they can fix it is by draining the blood, or drinking the blood, of the six people. Basically, Sal, Finn, and another character's blood that I just can't remember the name of. But regardless, the insurance policy is basically what's keeping them anchored down to different dimensions. Different dimensions that they are destroying, they need those blood vials, and the blood vials will keep them there and able to let them, travel to different dimensions. If the dimensions fall and they screw up somehow, the blood vials are going to keep them safe. If they somehow accidentally destroy the dimension that they are in, if you guys like the word universe, I'm going to start using that because, I don't know, universe or dimension, whichever one, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to use both just to clear some stuff up, but if they destroy the universe or dimension that they are in, they pretty much get a second chance. Basically, they're going to start disappearing, but if they drink the blood of dimensions that are still there, they will be anchored down and they're able to start again. I'm not exactly sure how this works, or anything else really about it. I'm not really sure what they're supposed to do with it. With the blood vials, once they drink it, are they supposed to just throw it away? Are they supposed to get rid of the glass vials because they just drank the blood of existing dimensions, but the glass vials may not be in the same dimensions? I don't know exactly the rules to that, but regardless, they do have the insurance policy in play, but I don't know. The theory is that the Origins crew, or Premise, they're stuck in an infinite time loop, which is why they are considered doomed. Just like the mobsters from Mob of the Dead were also stuck in a time loop. That's why the Warden was there as well. If the Warden wasn't in Blood of the Dead, then we could easily assume that they are not doomed, that they are not in a time loop or something like that. If they are doomed to die, then of course the Warden would be there. Another theory that I have is because of the fact that Alcatraz or Blood of the Dead was actually meant to be a trap for Richtofen, which inevitably works, but not in the way that the Shadow Man wanted it to. Now this is more outright. If you complete the Mob of the Dead Easter egg, you go back and you activate the radios. The radios will now have a conversation between the Warden and the Shadow Man, and Stanley Ferguson as well. Although Stanley Ferguson really doesn't matter, in my opinion. He's just more of just there. regardless, what we can see is that they're setting up a trap. So basically, the whole time loop has almost been corrupted completely by the Shadow Man and the Warden. At the end of the game, where Richtofen sets himself up at the blood extraction chair thing. Not sure what you really want to call it, but regardless, once he goes up on that thing where it starts extracting his blood, he set off the trap. But what the trap does is it does happen to alert Revelations Richtofen, so he's able to get the other 3 out of there. This is how the cycle is broken. As we all know, that Primus Richtofen, you know, pre-Revelations Richtofen, actually was part of Guard Krovi and part of Revelations. This is Primus's Richtofen's future self who's actually pulling them out, which means they have just broken the cycle. In the sense that Richtofen has now died. We all know that he dies. Well, we can assume that he dies because he bleeds out. The screen fades to black and white, just like the beginning of Mob of the Dead. It goes from black and white to color. This goes from color to black and white, meaning that the events of Blood of the Dead have officially ended, and Richtofen, well, is dead. Primus Richtofen, not pre-Primus Richtofen. But I'm not exactly sure, you guys, but from where can I confer the cycle's been broken because Richtofen didn't die in Blood of the Dead before, but this time the cycle's been broken as he sets himself up in the blood chair. Post Revelations Richtofen comes, extracts the 3 characters, and post Revelations Richtofen would have never existed if pre-Revelations Richtofen never made it to Revelations, meaning that this cycle has now been broken. Whether or not the Shadow Man exceeded in his plans of killing Richtofen in Blood of the Dead is completely up to you. I don't know whether or not we succeeded in keeping Richtofen safe from the trap, or rather pushed him into the trap in order to free the other 3 characters. I'm not exactly sure, but all we know is that he broke the cycle by bringing in his future self, the future self that should have never been in the storyline itself, because well, it wouldn't make any sense for someone in the future coming back into a timeline or a loop and appearing before they're supposed to in a loop. It just doesn't make any sense. Unless they've already done it before, but we can assume that it's not true, because then the events of Guard Krovi and Revelations would have been severely different. We can also kind of assume that we know that the cycle is broken because of the fact that if Richtofen's dead, then he couldn't have gone to Guard Krovi. Quite possibly, Optimus Richtofen would have actually already been, not Richtofen, Nikolai would have already been killed, as basically someone from the future coming back in the end when someone else is already dead. So witnessing someone in the past could have severe consequences on the future. Well, that's what we think, right? I'm not exactly sure what you guys think about this, but I really do think that the cycle is broken. So that's why the Warden does die, is because the cycle is broken and he's no longer needed, as he cannot make the others suffer anymore. We'll also have to see in Classified, well, not Classified, we'll have to see in the next one. I watched Classified. It doesn't really give us any information on it. But what I think happens is that maybe the cycle isn't broken, actually. Yes, I think the whole video is that the cycle hasn't broken. They've fixed some of it, but it hasn't broken. Another spoiler, if the ending of Classified is really real and it's not just trick pulling, pushing our buttons, Nikolai mentions that they're going to fight the Great War, meaning that they have gone back. Right? No, again, that's very wrong. I don't know why you're assuming that. What it means is that the original crew, the Origins crew, the Primus crew, actually completed and finished off the cycle. Yes, they did. I know, I'm sorry, but I had to do that. I had to do that just once. No, but the Primus cycle has been completely broken, as it is the original crew, the Octavis, I don't even know, the Shangri-La crew, and the Revelations crew, Jesus Christ, oh no, the Primus crew, getting together and coming up with a plan in order to fight the Great War, which is actually before, really, it's actually before the events of Nocturne Toten. It takes place before any of the other maps ever. Takes place before Origins and every other map like that, meaning that there's something wrong. But, I mean, not really wrong. There's something wrong with the timeline. That's because they were able to fix it. They've gone back in time to the Great War, and they're going to prevent the Element 115 from being released. Maybe we'll get more information on the next DLC of the Ether story, but as of right now, that's all we have. I'm not going to be doing any theories on the Chaos storyline, as it's actually a completely different story of the zombies. Instead of Element 115, the Chaos storyline is about an ancient evil. It's about an ancient evil being released upon a bunch of people, and they have to go and grab this artifact. I mean, it's the Chaos story is already over, by the way, because another spoiler. They may have already died, but you know, whatever. And I think the lamest way possible too. But regardless, I think that's the theory. I think that they've broken the cycle, but they were doomed. That they were doomed, but they're no longer doomed right now. Which is why the warden was killed. I do think that the moments of Blood of the Dead, I think Nikolai was right saying that this would be the end. It would be the end. Not the end of them, not the end of, not the end of their lives, but the end of their torture, the end of them being doomed and being doomed to repeat the cycle. I don't think that they were considered damned, as they weren't killed. I mean, they could be damned to this life, but I don't know. I didn't like that theory that they were, killed, and this was them fighting in purgatory, trying to escape. I mean, I guess it could be, but I don't think that that's really really explained in depth on the character analysis of Blood of the Dead and everything like that. I don't really think that they're dead. I think that they're still alive, and they're just fighting for their lives right now. I mean, it would make perfect sense if they would be dead, as, well, I mean, to be honest, man, they'd be dead, but I don't really think that these characters are dead. I really just think that they were doomed, but they were able to free themselves, just like Cell, Finn, Billy, and the Weasel were able to. If you guys didn't know, the ghost that helps you on the map, so the spirits that activate Pack-a-Punch, the bird, are actually the spirits of the 4 characters being released, so they're no longer damned. They're no longer doomed. They were doomed to be damned. They were damned, but they were able to free themselves. I'm not exactly sure how they fit into the World of Dead storyline, whether or not they were just there because they were freed, but they were stuck there because they knew they had something else they needed to do first, or what happened. Not exactly sure. I mean, I'll take any theory that you guys have, just throw them my way, I guess. But other than that, guys, I think that this video is pretty much done, over with. I just think that they were doomed to life and existence of pain, suffering. Richtofen sacrificed himself, whether or not it was what was supposed to, the Shadow Man wanted or not. It's completely up to you, and I don't know. But regardless, guys, I'm not really exactly sure. All I know for certain is that the original crew, the premise crew, was definitely damned. They were stuck in a loop, just like the Mob of the Dead crew. But other than that, guys, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I guess it could be literally anything, but I'm not exactly sure, man. Yeah. Anyway, now that I've talked your ear off, let's just get into the gameplay. So hang on, let me just turn on the audio. There you go. Double points. Alright, now I need to go activate Feather Punch, so I need to take souls. Come here. Need your soul. You're done? Oh, sweet, dude, he's all done. Let's go.
Very well, demon. I will strike!
Is it? Alright, good. No good.
I fear neither hell nor its flames.
Wait, did I finish up all the souls? No, I didn't. No, I don't know which one I didn't do. Hang on.
Give me a moment to correct myself. Okay, good enough.
Yeah, which one did I not do? Oh, the one by New Industries, I'm pretty sure. What? Oh, he revived himself before. Darn it. Oh crap. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. No, 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 no. Yeah, it's the one by New Industries, I guess. And phone, come here. Come here, phone. I don't know. To make you think, I talked your ear off. It's crazy, so I think I'm just gonna. I love it. To make you think, I talked your ear off. It's crazy, so I think I'm just gonna. What? I want to donate? In the description, it's PayPal. It's PayPal in the description, bro. No, I wasn't planning on getting off either, bro. I was just all done, man. I don't know. Jesus, that guy. I think that bot's glitched. I'm not gonna go waste my time trying to save it. Nobody got time for that. Ow. Uh-oh. Ah! No! Get away. Yeah, man, it's the first link in the description. I don't have 1,000 subscribers, so I don't have a super chat. So I can't get money off of the videos, so I have to use PayPal right now. Hell off of me!
A few more shots.
Ah.
My weapon will fall silent.
Yeah, it is this one. Totally forgot about this guy. Not sure how many more I need though.
If Dempsey died, perhaps he would be reincarnated as this gun. One must get very close
French?
to use this. I will savor the fear in the eyes. This weapon seems
Paladin.
unnecessary.
Okay, can I have something other than a sniper, please? Quick scope.
I
I'll take
like
this.
tactics, and I like this tactical rifle.
Oh my goodness. Alright, never mind. Looks like I'm not turning this round. Just kind of hoping on it. Oh jeez, oh jeez, oh jeez, oh jeez, oh jeez, oh jeez. No, 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 no. Why is this guy? That guy's glitched out in that corner over there. There's a freaking glitch spot that bots can get into, and they won't move for the rest of the game. Literally will not move. Jesus. He's got the last dogs on him, bro.
See, they make that whiny sound and I feel bad.
I got a brand new mic today as well, bro. Hope it sounds good.
No.
How are they making licenses here for? Finally, Jesus, was it long enough?
I understand your anger with Richtofen, Nikolai. But you must not allow this resentment to destroy you. We have come here to serve our inevitable purpose.
This is not fate, Takio. This is Richtofen, playing games with reality and our lives. I had hoped you would advise me to see this. Heads up!
So fun watching Takio and Nikolai respect each other when in the Black Ops 1. They freaking hate each other. So funny. Oh, there we go. That dog's done. That should be it. Hell, how did you get that, boy?
What's the matter, boy?
Insta-kill!
I really hope you felt that.
The rest is. To make it close, they are your friends. Assure the branch for quick extermination. If you're bitten, please kill yourself. Regulation 666. It's oddly fitting.
Out of my sight, wretched creature!
Get away from me, don't break my shields. sweet, level 3, let's go. Alright. Up the stairs. Need to get... So on my to-do list is getting the frickin' the spoon, dude. I still gotta get that. So I gotta go get the spoon. But before they break my shield, quickly do this.
The spirits
Help me! Help me! Sal, help me Finn. Help me Billy. Whoever the spirits are, they're help.
You guys found a pack of punch. Thanks, fellas.
Now is our turn. Focus on the warden's head.
Appear all you
That's
like,
scary!
Nikolai never gets tired of shooting you.
First, I thought was very scary. Ow.
This weapon is thirsty. Not for liquid, but for ammo.
Go back to hell. Tell your friends.
I'll put some multiplayer after this, bro.
For all my sins, I am here. What more trials will fate have me face?
Kill a lot. Oh, look how sick that is. You guys gonna run out of self-revives. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and do something really quickly. I'm gonna go get something to eat. By the time I come back, I should still be alive. Because these bots are overpowered, dude. I tell you.
Takio, comrade, you can feel as well as I that Richtofen's plan is but an errand of fools. How can you be so calm?
Acceptance is not weakness, Nikolai. Only by accepting what is, can one decide how one wishes to proceed, moment by precious moment.
Max ammo! I have that effect on people.
Phew! Good thing Russia and America will always be allies.
Again, ammo is low. Such greedy weapon.
Too, right, Tech? Whispers all around this place. I'm starting to think all your spirit talk might not be bullshit after all.
I sort of appreciate that. And yes, we are being watched.
Take it down a notch! Yes, Dempsey, shoot smart, not hard! Double points!
Wow, look who's back and still alive. Hang on. Alright, that's all the guys still down there. You guys literally still down there. I don't know if there's a multiplayer, so I think I'm gonna get off of this and play some a little bit multiplayer for you guys.
Do the spirits of this prison disturb you, Nikolai? You should know that they too have suffered at the hands of this warden.
I have seen men broken by Gulag, and death was mercy for them. In this place, Takio, without death to release them, I fear what men can become. Almost out already? This gun eats like my babushka.
Foolish monster! Very foolish! The overkill. Ready to waste gross amounts of ammunition. Why not? That one definitely looked at me funny.
That's pretty cool. Alright.
Ah, Dempsey. Your fire discipline is much improved.
Alright. 3, 2, 1. Actually, I think I'm gonna end the live stream here, guys. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you guys liked it, please leave a like. Comment section below. Bot got 39 downs. Jesus. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment section below. As always, I'll talk to you later. But guys, stay awesome, stay fresh, stay you. Turn on that bell notifications so you never miss one of my live streams. And I will see you all in the next live stream / video, whatever you want to call it. Bye-bye.